Hey guys, Zizek here, back in another video. This time we're taking a look at Token Terror's Battlegrounds. So before I go any further, this is a Kickstarter preview copy. So everything here is a prototype, and all the tokens you'll see in a second are 3D printed resin figures. They're not the actual final product. So all the stuff here, the cards, the dice, everything can change in the final product. Like I said, this is on Kickstarter right now, so there's a link in the description to go check it out. I believe it's already funded, and the company did send this copy to me to show off to you guys. I'm going to send it off to another reviewer after this, I think. So thank you guys for sending this to me to show off to you guys. But the main draw of this is the tokens, which are in these bags back here, and it has a couple. And yeah. There's a couple figures in this. So this is the main thing about this game, and really the reason you're going to be getting this are these little tokens. There's 7 different ones in the copy they sent me. I believe it has 6 in the base game, and there's additional ones you can buy as part of the Kickstarter and as add-on packs eventually. Kind of the whole appeal of this is you're really buying it for these tokens. And these are called tokens because you're supposed to use them for other things, like tokens in Magic the Gathering or D&D. You can use them as miniatures on the map. Really, you can use them for anything you want to. And they're going to be $8 for 6 of them. And like I said, these are 3D printed prototypes, so these are all painted and everything. So these don't look the greatest, but they've all gotten beat up, passed around multiple reviewers, so that's why these don't look amazing. But the actual ones will look great. I love these little artifact guys. They're on like little knight helmets on little treadmills, and they're supposed to have little propellers on their head, but I think they've all broken off. You can kind of see one there. These really remind me of a Mega Man villain. I love these guys. So, before we go any further, we got the Goblins, as you can see here. We have the little artifact guys. I really like these guys. We have some zombies with their eyes falling out. These are rightfully gross. We have some swamp goblins. Actually, I'll show you this one. Swamp goblins, which appear to just be green versions of the regular goblins. I think these might be one of the add-on things you can do. We have wyverns with some hair. I really like these guys too. The claws and all that. And last one we got in here are the soldiers. Just look pretty cool with their swords and shields. So as you can kind of tell, they're all kind of based on Magic the Gathering creatures. So goblins are usually in red. You've got flying things in blue. Tokens are silver. Oh, sorry, I missed one. The elves. And the green elves. Look very Lord of the Rings elvish. And what else? The white soldiers and the black zombies. You can see they're kind of Magic the Gathering colored inspired. So that's really like the actual product. Like, you're buying it for these tokens, but they've actually turned this set into an actual game as well. So you can actually play a game with them on their own instead of having to use them for your other games. And the game is actually pretty cool. So the other things you'll get is you'll get 2 of these cemetery bags. And they actually have really cool art on them. You are dead. You get 2 of those. You get your instructions, of course. You get cards for the abilities of the tokens themselves, and then you get a really tiny little board to play on. So I'm going to kind of move all this around and get a game set up to try and show you how it works. Alright, so I have a game set up here just to kind of walk you through a couple turns. Not going to do a whole gameplay for it, but just kind of walk you through and show you how it works. So the first thing you do is you take turns drafting the figures. So you can draft them, that's the normal way you play it, or you can just take make a certain number of each one and get started off as your first game. So for instance, you're going to get 10 altogether. So I got, on this side we have 4 wyverns and 6 goblins, and on this side we have 5 zombies and 5 artifacts. They're called flying machines technically, but they're artifacts. So then you put them all into your bag, shake them up, and you draw out 5, and that's going to be your starting army. So you can put them on any of the front 2 lines here. So you can see I've set them up all here, and set them up on this side, and the rest you'll take out and put them on the reserve cards. I'm going to take a look at each side real quick just to show you how it works. So on this side you kind of get a little information about them. So the goblins are melee, they are typical, which is kind of a thing that's referenced later in the rules. And you get a little flavor text on the bottom there. And this is the actual reserve, so this is actually where they live. I like that about this. They actually sit here and live here when they're not in battle. So you can see it's a melee fighter, so that means it's going to only be able to attack people next to it, adjacent. And they always have 2 talents. So one of them is enable. You can have another goblin perform up to 2 commands except for talents. And then in sight, next time this goblin battles this turn, it gets +1 threat for each surrounding enemy. So we'll get into all the rules in just a second. Just show off who we got. We got the Wyverns. I really like them. They're a ranged token, so they can actually hit people up to 2 spaces away. Their talents are Take Flight. You can move this Wyvern exactly 3 spaces. And Rush. The next time this Wyvern battles this turn, it has a range of 3. So it can hit people even further away than 2. And on the other side, the Flying Machines. I love them so much. They are ranged as well. And one of their talents is Build. Add a flying machine from your reserves to any space surrounding this flying machine, and it costs 3 points. We'll get to that too. And Swarm, move this and all friendly flying machines 1 space each. And the last thing on this is the zombies. They are melee, they are dying. And their talents are, you can, for undead, you can ready this zombie. When ready this way, the zombie is destroyed, rest it instead. And then Infect, costs 3 points to, the zombie can battle friendly tokens until the end of this turn. The zombie destroys any token, return 1 zombie from your cemetery to your reserves, so it can spawn more like a zombie does. So also before you start your game, you're both going to get a Surge die, which is this special die here. It's a regular die in every face except for the 1, which I just lost, the 1. You can have a 1 pip, or you can turn it over to have an X, which means nothing. So basically it's a 0 through 6 die, which is actually pretty cool. So you'll start with it face up like this, which means you have 1, but after you use it, the X means you have 0. And as far as gameplay works, you have random player goes first, and you have a list of things you go through on your turn, which you can see in this card here. You refresh, so you refresh all of your tokens that were used last turn if you had any. You activate, so you select a fresh token, so something that is facing forward that hasn't been used. Facing actually matters in this game because the way you activate your tokens and say they've been used is you turn them around 180 degrees or you turn them sideways, which is called readying. So keep that in mind, that matters which way they're facing. So you activate, so you pick 1 token and do exactly 3 things with it. You have to do 3 things. And then you can spend your surge points, the things on the die here, to do additional points, to do additional commands based on how many points you have. And then after that, you can choose to rest your figure, which is turning it around, like I said. If you do that, you get a point. But if you don't do that, you can leave it fresh, and it's able to maybe evade tax later on. So you can rest it to get a point for later, or you can leave it ready to defend itself. And then after that, at the end of your turn, if you have less than 5 tokens in your field, you can take any tokens from your reserve to put on any of the edge of the board, like there for instance, until you have 5 tokens on the board again. You'll always have 5, and it goes back and forth until one person has lost all their tokens. When a token dies, it goes back into your cemetery bag, and last one standing wins. So let's do a couple turns just to kind of show you how it works. So I'm start my turn, and I don't have anyone to refresh because it's my first turn. I'm going to activate. I'm going to choose the Wyvern here. Actually, before I do this, you're going to see these guys move because I want to prove a point. Alright, pretend they were like that. Alright, so I'm going to use the Wyvern's ability. Its talent. It's going to be Take Flight. So unless it otherwise is stated, these take 1 command point to use, and you have 3 command points. So I'm going to use this one to move it exactly 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to use one of the commands to battle. So you have 4 commands: move, battle, engage, enrage, and one of the talents, like I said earlier. So we're going to use the battle command now. That's my second action. It's a ranged attack. It's a ranged token, so it can hit things up to 2 spaces away in a straight line, so that one's in range. So first thing you do is you compare threat. This is kind of a cool mechanic. So basically, threats are always 1, but for every friendly token of the same type that's adjacent to it, not diagonally, just up and down, it gains +1 threat. So this guy's threat is 1, this one is 1. These guys are both 2 because they're next to each other. Same for these. And then these guys are all 3 because they have 1, 2, 3 that are next to them, and the diagonal doesn't count. So positioning your dudes and actually getting them together actually really matters in this game. So now, the second thing we do is we attempt to evade. This only happens if the attacking unit is range attack and the defending unit is fresh, like this one is. So the way you do that is you take the die, and on a 1, 2, or 3, the attack hits like normal. On a 4 or 5 or 6, you evade it. But another cool thing about this is you can spend extra command points when you do an attack to make it better, basically. So I have 2 command points left. I use my second one to do the range attack. I can spend my third to make it a sure shot, which means instead of the 4, 5, or 6 it has to roll to evade, now it can only evade if it rolls a 6. So we're going to see if it evades. And it rolled a 6, of course. So no damage is done. This token evades, and then afterwards you have to move it 1 to 3 spaces. So you have to move it at least 1. So I'm going to move it just back here. So now it's threat 2. So rolling the 6 doesn't mean it just automatically misses. That movement is actually what you use to get it out of range, because now the next step is you deal damage. So since it's now out of range of 2 from the Wyvern, it actually does evade the attack. And both tokens will deal the damage simultaneously. So if this was still up here, and it didn't evade, they deal 1 damage to each other because this guy is also ranged, and so they would just kill each other, and you put them in your respective cemetery bags. But let's just say we're going to continue like it was. So I used all 3 actions. I used all 3 of my command points on moving and then doing a sure shot attack, and of course it rolled a 6. But I do have 1 point left over I could spend to do another command if I want to. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to end my turn and rest this figure. So I have 2 choices. I can either rest it or leave it fresh. If it's fresh, it has a chance to evade attacks like this guy did. But if I rest it, it doesn't get to evade attacks, but I do get a surge point. So now I'd go up to 2. And then last thing you do at the end of your turn, if you have less than 5, you'll get new forces, but we still have 5, so go to this player's turn. And we're going to activate this token, the same guy before, and we're going to use Swarm to move this and all friendly flying machines 1 space each. So we're just going to move him up here, and move him over here. So now we're going to do another ranged attack. So he's going to use his second command to do a ranged attack to him. And we don't need to spend the extra 1 to make it a sure shot because he can't evade because he's rested. So we're going to just go straight to the attack. There's no rolling because, like I said, he's rested. So now first thing we do is compare threat. He is threat 2 because he has another guy next to him. He is only threat 1. So then again, attempt to evade, no evade, and now we just do the damage. So 2 damage is going to get dealt to him, which he only has 1 health technically. His threat is his health as well. And 1 damage gets dealt to him. So it happens simultaneously. So he only has 1 threat, so he's destroyed and put in the bag. And he gets dealt 1 threat, but he has 2 because he's next to someone, so he's actually going to stay alive. Threat lasts to the end of turn, so if there was some other way he got damaged again, then he would die, but he's got 2 health, so he's good. So you can't split your commands between other tokens, so I can't like spend my last one to move one of the zombies or something like that. I have to continue using this. And I'm just going to use my last action to move him up. That's it. And since there's no one around him that can damage him as far as I can tell, I'm going to go ahead and rest him by turning him around and get another command point. And then let's just kind of fast forward a little bit to say these guys moved up. Melee attacks are basically just like ranged attacks, except there's no evading. You just do the damage. So like, if this goblin wanted to hit this zombie, it would spend a command point, and then it would fight, and you'd skip the evade like I said. You start comparing threats, so he is 1, 2, 3. This zombie is 2, so he'd deal 3 damage to him. He would deal 2 damage to him. So 3 is enough to kill this zombie, and 2 would get dealt to him, which isn't enough to kill him, so he would stay alive. If for any reason that goblin was too far away, and they dealt damage to each other, they would just knock each other out, like I said before. And that's basically the game. It's pretty simple. It's definitely one you can teach super quick and play over and over again, which is the kind of games I like. And just to kind of go through the other tokens before I forget, we got the Elves, who move other elves, and then they can actually battle diagonally this turn. We got the soldiers, who are all about working together. You can move 2 soldiers up 2 space each. They walk in lockstep. And then phalanx, you can ready the soldier. While it is ready this way, the next time it battles a soldier, the next time the soldier battles or retaliates, it gets +1 threat for each friendly surrounding soldier. So the surrounding means it has anyone adjacent to it, basically. And then readying is when you, instead of turning your figure all the way around to rest it like before, you just turn it sideways. And that means that basically it's doing some kind of ability. And it's not rested, it's not fresh, it's kind of in the middle. And then the Swamplins are those last guys, which I think are some kind of Kickstarter or add-on thing. At the end of turn, Swamplin may battle at range 2, even though they're melee, so they can throw their spears. It's pretty cool. And then Kickstart trait. Yeah, I believe this is a Kickstarter thing, obviously. When you rest a Swamplin, you have 0 surge points, you gain 2 surge points. That's pretty cool, actually. Alright, so that's basically it. Just a really quick video to show off this game. I'm super into it. I love the artwork. I love the figure designs, definitely. And I really want to see them make more of them. I just want a bag of these. And they do make it a point to say that these are basically dice-sized. So these will fit in any dice bag you have to go with you wherever you want to and use them however you want to. And I'm in love with these guys. I basically just want a lot more of these. But that's it. If you guys have any questions or comments, of course, leave them below. The link to the Kickstarter is in the description. Go check it out. And that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. Have a nice day.